was sent to Vietnam during right after the Tet Offensive occurred, and that was in May of '68. So we arrived to we were kind of a replacement troops that were coming in right after. There was a huge amount of us that were drafted right after the Tet Offensive. I ended up being assigned to second of the 22nd Triple Deuce Tropic Lightning, and we were a mech unit, a mechanized unit, which had 50 calibers on it, and there was 4 tracks to a platoon, and then you had the lead track and the 2 middle tracks, and I was assigned to it was a weapons track, they called it. We had all the TNT, C4, claymores, det cord, blasting caps, and we had all that on our APC. And we had that in our track, and that we never had to take point because we always had all the explosive stuff. So that we started going on patrols where we would go out into the jungle, and everybody would get off the APCs except the driver and the guy behind the 50, and then there was an ammo bearer. The guy behind him was to get the 50 shells ready and stuff for him to load them if we got into a firefight and stuff. So then we'd walk through jungles. We'd walk basically where they had spotted NVA, or they knew there was NVA, there was movement or something. They used to call it search and destroy, but then they said they couldn't say that anymore. So, but in a unit like ours, in a mech unit, if we got into contact, we knew there was a lot of North Vietnamese, because they're not going to mess with APCs and 50 calibers. We had North Vietnamese that wanted to take us on. So when we made contact, it was usually pretty intense. You would come back, and once it was over, it'd probably be noon or 1 o'clock, then you would take a nap in the afternoon. And then we'd come up and we'd get something to eat, and 6 or 7 guys would go on ambush patrol. We'd get together, and you'd say, you're going to be the radio guy, you're going to carry the 60, you're going to be charged at sitting up claymore. And when you carried the 60, even when we went on these patrols in the jungle, when you walk, you got one guy carried the 60. I usually carried the 60, was like 23 pounds, and I usually put it up above my helmet and carry the thing, because you carry 23 pounds, and then I had 400 rounds of ammo that were thing, and each guy in the squad had to carry 100 rounds of ammo for me. And we went around one of these patrols all day, and it was hot, and we were tired. Anyway, we set up that night, and I had to go on LP. It was lookout post. Lookout post, you go at about 150, it was 150, 200 yards in front of the APC. So then it was dark. So we had to start. We couldn't talk, but we had a radio deal. They would every once you hit, they would send out. Then you hit so many clicks, to make sure you were there and everything was all right. And I said, well, I'll take the first watch. And I was dead tired. So I'm sitting there, and we're at elephant grass, and elephant grass can be 6 foot high. I looked, and that tripler, probably another 100 yards up, tripler, whoo! And I looked up, and this North Vietnamese is standing, me, you away. He's standing up, and I'm sitting down there, and he didn't see me because the tripler went off, but the guy behind me with the 50 caliber seen him, so he opens up with a 50, and I'm laying on the ground. He shoots that guy right in front of me, hit him right in the chest, just wham, and the guy went backward. This is the first contact I ever seen over there, and he shot that guy, and he went I don't know how many feet backwards, and I just laid on the ground and I was laying, had my flight jacket, I had my helmet over my head, and I could hear the 50 rounds hitting the ground, and I could see the tracers going. And these guys, my own guys, don't know I'm right where I'm at. They don't know where. And this went on for half hour, 45. I don't know how, back and forth. And what happened? It was their patrol. They weren't actually trying to overrun us. They accidentally, they stepped on us. They didn't know we were there. The North Vietnamese. They were, and this guy. It happens the next. Well, before that I crawled back underneath that tin. They let up on that 50. Let up, and I slid down underneath that tin with the 2 black guys. And the guy on the radio said, okay, he said, we're going to hold our fire. You guys get up and come on in. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're dropping, by then they're dropping the parachute flares, and lighting things up and stuff. So you could see pretty well, yeah, you could see pretty well. And we started saying, well, you go first. No, you go first. And I said, I'm not going to win this argument. Two black guys and me, they didn't say nothing, but I said, I'm going to go. I got up and I just took off. And I run, and we had concertina wire in front of the APC. I went right through it. I stepped right through over the top. I seen it, but I don't remember hitting it. And I looked back, and them two black guys were in the concertina wire pants. They're hollering, how'd you get through there? I don't remember. And I sat down behind the APC, and I just sat there and I, holy shit, what just happened? And you're growing up, like I said, as a kid in Humboldt High School, and so you don't realize that people killed each other. I mean, it hit me that this is the real thing. People are getting killed, and this is actually happening. This is the real thing. All through high school, even when I watched that news, it's not really real. People don't do that to each other. But after that experience, and you get a different taste in your mouth. But I always explain to people, it's like playing sports. When your stomach gets so tight, you're wrestling or football or basketball, your stomach is so tight, that you want to win or you're going to compete in something. I said, I think my stomach was like that for 365 days. It never went away. That next day, we went out there. Here, this guy that they had shot right in front of me was a Chinese officer. He had a brand new 45 pistol on his he never even had it out of his holster. But he tripped the guy behind him had tripped that flare, but he would have walked right into me. If that flare wouldn't want, he'd have walked right in. But that guy shot him, and he was that officer. They said that pistol was brand new. Looked like it had never been shot. Some guy took that pistol. I was pretty much a rookie. I didn't know what was going on. But I said, holy crap, that 50 just, like you shoot a gopher, he was parts all over the place.